guys. I'm Malcolm. I'm from Harscan Distributors. I started plumbing in 1995, and I did run my own business from 95 until 2005 as a plumber. And then I started importing pipe and things, and I'm now an importer. I sit on the PRB and IOPSA Gauteng boards, and I'm just going to give you a couple of insights into what maybe makes you a professional plumber. I'm going to turn my video off now. If you have seen me, then you can see how bad I am and how cold it is in Joburg, but let me carry on. So what we want to talk about today is being a professional plumber, and how do we make ourselves more professional as a plumber compared to the run-of-the-mill guy who you're competing against. So the way we should start with any business is to create a goal and decide where we would like to be in this year, next year, 5 years time. Where do we see ourselves going? Do we see ourselves becoming a professional business? Do we want to have a 10-man team? Do we want to have 50 buckies on the road? And write down some points about how we're going to achieve this. You need to decide on how and what you're going to do to make your goal happen. You also need to be realistic, and you need to focus on what you can change, and don't worry about the things you can't change. And the way you're going to do that is to educate yourself, upskill yourself and your staff to get yourself into that position. So I'm just throwing a couple of ideas at you here, but what good plumbers have done and what guys who've made a lot of money in the industry have done is they've created a brand. They've got the corporate identity right. They've got t-shirts, they've got vehicles branded. They've created their brand and kept with their brand and pushed their brand really hard. And that means that you need to have your invoices with your brand on it. You need to do your quotes with your brand on it. And you need to grow your brand. If you can use the advantage of piggybacking on established brands, if you're an IOPSA and a PRB member, then you're entitled to use the IOPSA logo and the PRB logos to give your business credibility. And when you explain your worth to your customers and say, I'm a PRB registered plumber, and you can explain a little bit of background to being a PRB plumber, it will help you grow your brand quickly. And the reason why you want to build your business as a brand is because your brand will have value. And as much as it's nice to be Bob the plumber, it's much better when people know Bob's the plumber has 10 different Bobs working for him or 10 different plumbers working for him, and it's not all about just being Bob. It's about Bob the plumber will look after me, and his group or his brand is the brand that I'm using. And then once you've got your brand going, you need to protect your brand, and that brand needs to become your valuable thing. And when I say protect your brand, I'm talking about protect your good name in the industry. Make sure that your name is a name that people want to give you a call back for because you did such a good job last time. And then you can start to promote your brand. Still, the best way of advertising, in spite of all the internet and things like that, is by a personal recommendation. I used this plumber, he was great at my house, I suggest you use him. That is the best kind of advertising you can get, and the only time you'll get that advertising is if you do a good job at a fair price. So a couple of things we need to do is you need to dress yourself and your team to succeed. You can't have your guys and yourself rolling into people's houses looking like a hobo or a terrorist or something. We need you to be wearing a clean uniform. As much as plumbers do get dirty and things like that, you need to start to be presentable. When you come to somebody's house, the lady of the house or the owner of the house wants you to come into her house and keep the house clean and presentable. These are very simple business 101 skills, but they need reinforcing. And the successful plumbers and the successful tradesmen, you will see, have neat vans, staff that are dressed appropriately. People understand that you're a plumber and you need to wear an overall, that's fine, but make sure the overall is is in serviceable condition, not torn pants and things like that. Things happen on site day to day, but people can see that overall and things like that are maintained properly. If you look at this, which plumber would you want in your house? I mean, you can see the middle guy and the lady on the right here. They look like the kind of people that I want working in my house, because if the plumber is neat or the electrician is neat, then there's a good job he's going to do a neat job for me. If he's all a mess, there's a good job he's going to mess my house up, and he's not going to do the job correctly. Again, if you've got a vehicle, let's keep your vehicle clean and tidy. When I started as an apprentice, I used to work for a guy, and every Friday we used to have to unpack the whole vehicle and wash the vehicle, and the boss would do a tool inspection to check that we hadn't lost any tools and to check that our tools were all still serviceable. That way, from Monday to Friday, he knew that when we went to work, we had the right tools for the job, they were clean, the vehicle was clean, and we as a plumber, or we as, in those days I was an apprentice, but me as an apprentice also knew what was on the van because we had unpacked it and repacked it with the appropriate equipment for the next week. That's very important, that you know what's on your vehicle. It all follows on from each other. If you've got a clean vehicle, you know where your valves are, you know where your tap washers are, whatever you're going to be doing, it makes you easier to do the job, quicker to do the job, and it's a much neater thing, and things don't get damaged on your vehicle. If you look at that, a bit of sign writing and cleaning up a vehicle is not very expensive, and it creates a great impression, and it gives you the advertising. If you've got something on the back with your phone number, people see your vehicle in the area, they say, this plumber's in my area, it's very easy to get hold of him, there's his phone number, and it's a great way to advertise. If you've got a dirty, dented vehicle, people will not use you. If your vehicle's clean, tidy, neat, people will drive and say, sure, I saw that vehicle in my area, he's got a nice vehicle, he's nice and clean, I'm going to phone him because he looks like he knows what he's doing. It's all about the impression you're going to create. And then one of the other things that plumbers quite often get wrong is when you're finished for the day, tidy up, and when you've finished your job, tidy up. Customers don't want to see a mess when they get home. It's very important that you keep your workshop and your workstation tidy on a site. It prevents you losing tools. It creates a good impression for your customers. Especially if they've got small children or something at home, if you dig a hole in their garden, put some tape around it or put some scaffold around it. It prevents the unimaginable things happening that could happen, children falling into holes and breaking legs and things like that. If you can do that, your responsibility is customers can see that you're responsible and tidy as a plumber. The next thing we'd like to talk about a little bit is about respect. If you respect yourself, your staff and your customers, it all follows on. Because by respecting your staff and your customers, you will learn to respect yourself. So one of the things you don't want to be doing is you don't want to be swearing or shouting at your staff. Don't shout at them if they've made a mistake in front of customers. Take them to the side, talk to them, address the issues, but be professional. Address your customers as you would if you were going for a job interview. Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. How can we help you? Get your staff to be like that. Have clean hands to shake your customer's hand. At the moment, that's a no-no, but at least if you've got clean hands and you've got clean elbows, you can give your customer a greeting, and he wants to deal with you. One of the tricks I learned when I was plumbing was to keep hand clean and a bit of deodorant in your van, so that if you have worked on a nasty job, a nasty drain or something, you can clean up and wash your hands properly, put a bit of deodorant on, so when you get your next customer, you freshen the daisy and all the good stuff, and your customer doesn't see that you've been working in dirty environments. Take your shoes off when you go to their houses. Take your shoes off, put a separate pair on for going indoors. I met a couple of plumbers who even keep a pair of Crocs or something, and when they get to go into the customer's houses, they take their boots off, put the Crocs on, walk through the house, and then change back when they get out, and their Crocs are their indoor shoes. respect the procedures of the site or of the home, especially concerning security and safety. That is, again, if you can show that your staff have your ID numbers, things like that. If you're going into a state, if you have a list or document with who your staff are, their ID numbers, the copy of their IDs, those sort of things make life very easy for you as a plumber, and it gives reassurance to the homeowner that you are properly vetting your staff. With the COVIDs, maybe use it as an opportunity to distinguish your brand and say that we are a COVID compliant plumbing company. We do make sure that our face masks are cleaned every day. We sanitize our hands, we sanitize our vehicles, we sanitize our tools. We check our staff for temperatures 3 times a day. If you create a little fact sheet and you give that to your customers, it'll put their mind at ease when they've got a plumber coming to their offices. Here's our fact sheet about what we do for COVIDs. This is what we've achieved, and this is how we go about making ourselves better, because we've got COVID compliance, or we COVID safe in our business. It's a good opportunity as a plumber to differentiate yourself from the next person. When you start arriving at someone's offices and you are totally COVID clean and compliant, the customers are going to be impressed. And that all leads to good staff practices. Make sure your staff are legal. A lot of people have picked up recently with COVID. If you keep your UIF and your Federated Employer, Federated Employers Mutual UIF and PAY up to date, when you have a claim, when you have a problem, it's much easier, as you would have picked up with COVIDs. The guys who are all legal and up to date haven't had a hassle claiming UIF. It's the guys who haven't been paying UIF that are having issues now and trying to update so they can get some money back. So that is a good business practice, to keep that stuff up to date, paid, ready to go. Getting back to what I was saying earlier, have a staff file, all the IDs, the contact details, next of kin on file. When you go to an estate, you've got it. If there's a problem on site, you've got it. If you've got a staff missing for a day or two, you can phone him, find out what's wrong, maybe help him, get him back to work, whatever it is. And this is very important, especially now with the COVIDs, that you have all their contact details and things like that. So if you do have a COVID scare, you are contactable, and they are also all contactable, so that you will not be held criminally found with government rules and things like that you can't get hold of your staff who possibly have COVIDs. Do a run, check that none of your staff have criminal records. You can then safely say, when you go to see a big building or something like that, if you're bidding on work, all my staff have been checked for criminal records, here's their IDs. It makes the right impression. Have a safety file, correct safety equipment, all of that. Take advantage of the free training offered by IOPSA. All of that makes a good impression when you go to try and quote or bid on a job, and it will make you that much better than the next plumber you're competing against. Also, I mean, the webinars are a fantastic thing. They're free to our IOPSA members. You can have a weekly webinar with your staff. On a Tuesday morning, there's a toolbox talk. I do it with my staff. We have it for that 15-20 minutes every Tuesday morning, and the staff have a bit of upskilling and a bit of training, and you are creating a bit of chutzpah within the company. There's a bit of a training session, and you can use it to grow and get your staff to grow as people, and to learn about what products and things are out there. Constant reinforcement of what you and your staff want to achieve and where you want to be in that 3 to 5 years. That's what we're looking at here. We want to make your business good in 3 to 5 years. What do we need to do? Remind your staff. This way, if they learn about what's available, they maybe look after the tools a bit better, they keep their tools safer, those sort of things. If you keep the instruction manuals and those sort of things before you go and use an item, you give your staff a quick 2-minute brush up. If you're going to use a grinder, guys, check you've got ear protection, eye protection, gloves, that sort of thing. Make sure that they pack the right stuff to go and do the job. Then they are going to be so much better with the work. One of the other ways of creating a business and creating a brand is to specialize and differentiate. Find what discipline within the plumbing trade you enjoy and get good at it and follow it. If you decide you want to be a drain cleaner, invest in the right drain cleaning equipment. Make your drain cleaning equipment or your product that you have available better than the next guys. Remember, specialist doctors charge more, so as a specialist plumber, you should be charging more for your speciality. It doesn't have to be drain cleaning. There are lots of other things. There's some guys who in Europe and people like places like that who specialize in just repairing pipes. There are other guys who specialize in just construction water supply or designing plumbing systems that optimize water usage and heat losses and things like that. And make sure you do your costings to profit from being a specialist. There's no point investing to be a specialist if you don't do your costings right and you don't make more money from it. As I was saying, there are a whole lot of specialities you can do. Green energy at the moment is very popular, and backup water is very popular. But there are a whole lot of things that I believe are going to become very, very popular within the next months or years. Purifying water, if you look at what's happened with load shedding, purifying water and reusing water is going to become very popular, especially with our drought-like country. Water-saving products, infection and contamination, COVID-19 safety. Tell your customers what you can do for them. We have a special product that saves you from COVID. There's a thing that we can put on your water supply to purify your water. There's water-based heating and cooling. There's gas installations. There are so many specialities that you can get into within the plumbing market that are really worth looking at. So what we want to say is equip yourself as a specialist plumber. Get the right tools to do the job correctly. Get the right software for the design and also for accounting. At the moment, there's several computer systems that are available that work on your cell phones for invoicing, things like that. The Yoko machines, these what do you call it, point of sale machines like Yoko. Everything can be run off your smartphone in your van. You can do your invoice, you can collect your money, you can do all of that just off a smartphone. What a smartphone has done for plumbers and people like us is unbelievable how it's streamlined and made our businesses better. And you can check you've been paid. When Mrs. Jones says you need to come back for something or you need to do another job, you can go through and check she's paid you for the last time. So you won't be caught out for money. There are also massive amounts of online courses for plumbing, but it would also be worth looking at some of the online courses for accounting and business running and small courses on law and things like that, so that you have a background on them. Speak to your suppliers. I know a lot of the suppliers offer free courses for you and your staff. Learn how to install a system, learn how to butt weld HDPE, all of that sort of thing. You can go to their offices, learn how to install a geyser or the finer points of installing a geyser, and they can teach you that and upskill you and your staff. It all goes back to where do we want to be in 3 years' time. And as you guys, if you're watching this, you know there are lots of CPD presentations that you can get off the internet and look at. Then one of the other things is how to charge for your speciality now. You've gone and invested a huge amount of money in your drain cleaning machines and things like that. You need to start to learn how to charge for being in business. You need to know your costs. I know Steve has done a CPD presentation on knowing your costs of business. Don't phone around or ask what other guys charge. Work out what you need to charge, get the details, get the information you need, and do the charging the correct way. Don't just charge per point because other oaks charge per point. Rather work out what that house is going to cost you to do, and also remember in mind that you want to do it as a good job and not the cheapest job. And tell your customer why you're more expensive. I'm using bigger diameter pipe so you get a decent shower. Those sort of things. If your customer is happy with you and they don't experience comebacks, they will keep calling you, even though you are slightly more expensive than the next guy. Learn to charge correctly for your skills is what we're trying to say here. Quote before you take on the job. Itemize your invoices. When you write 7,000 Rand to replace a geyser, it seems expensive, but 7,000 Rand to drain a geyser, remove old tanks, supply new geyser, drip tray, vacuum breakers, install system to relevant SANS documentation, check pressure valve, and all that stuff, it makes it seem very inexpensive because people know what they're getting for their money. Show them why they're getting good value. Also, if you list and itemize everything, there can be no argument on what was done. The customer can't come back to you and say, oh, you've replaced my geyser and I've got a leaky pipe in the roof. You can now say, if you look, I noted that you've got old galvanized pipe in your roof and we've just joined into it. Then you're covered and the customer will be understanding when there's something goes wrong further down the line that wasn't your fault. Spend time to plan your jobs. Working out your quote, what you need for the project, ordering the stock in time. It takes a couple of minutes before you start the job, but if you get that right, it means there are less holdups and the job is finished quicker and you can get paid sooner. There's also less pressure on you to get stuff from a supplier, and if you've consulted with professionals and everything, you will manage the customer's expectations and you will under-promise and over-deliver. And your ultimate goal, as we said at the beginning, is a happy customer, because a happy customer uses you again, and a happy customer refers you to your friends and colleagues, and a happy customer is your best advertisement. Thank you, guys. Are there any questions?